Hi, this is Craig Stocks here at Utah Desert Remote Observatories. You can find us online at utahdesertremote.com. And today I want to talk a little bit about some of the Photoshop fundamentals. So we're going to be spending all of our time today just in Photoshop. So I've got a real simple checkerboard. You can kind of see in the thumbnail. If I turn off this background, it'll be a little bit more obvious that the Photoshop shows this checkerboard background, and that indicates transparency. So whenever you see this checkerboard pattern, that's indicating that that area or that region is transparent. So let's turn the background back on. Now, because these are higher up in the hierarchy, they're visible and we can see through the transparent area. If I move this background layer up by just clicking and dragging to move it up above the ellipse, for instance, now we don't see the ellipse anymore because it's behind or below this background layer. So I'll move this back down. Now, if I add an adjustment layer, and let's add a levels adjustment layer because that's kind of a workhorse adjustment layer used for adjusting brightness and contrast. The important thing about adjustment layers is that they only affect what's below them. So in this case, I added the levels adjustment layer, and by default it adds it right above the currently selected layer. So I had currently been on the brightness on this background layer. When I added a levels adjustment layer, it added it right above it. And so if I change the brightness by moving the midpoint slider, if I make it darker or brighter, you can see it's only affecting the background. It's having no effect on these layers that are above it. Likewise, if I move this levels adjustment layer up above the ellipse, now if I darken it, it's going to darken the background and the ellipse, but not the circle or the triangle. So if I move it all the way to the top, now it's going to affect everything below it. So in general, adjustment layers will affect everything below that adjustment layer. Now, one difference in if you are using the PiMagic Studio and Astromagic to create your layers, most of those are in a screen blending mode. And one unique thing about the screen blending mode is it encapsulates an adjustment layer within that layer. So for instance, if we put this circle layer in a layer group, and I'll do that by just tapping Control-G on the keyboard, and now I'm going to put this layer group in screen blending mode. And now, rather than just laying over top of the layer below it, it's interacting with the layer below it. And because this adjustment layer is outside that layer group, it's still going to affect everything below it. Now, if I move it inside this layer group, and because this layer group is in screen blending mode, it's only going to affect the red circle. So if we adjust the brightness now, it's only affecting the brightness of that red circle. And when we make it dark, in screen blending mode, it disappears. If we make it real bright, it becomes almost white, but you can see it's only affecting what's in the layer group with it and what's below it in that layer group. So that's a little bit about how layer groups and a little bit about blending modes. One of the things, and I'm going to go to my history palette and just go back to before I created the group layers. So now we're kind of back where we were. One of the things I talked about in a previous video that generated some questions was the idea of smart objects. And the beauty of smart objects is they encapsulate one or more layers into a smart object, and then you can then do operations on that smart object, but it's completely non-destructive. You never lose access to the originals. So to do that, I'm going to select, you can select one or more. I'm going to select all three of these geometry layers. So I'm going to select the ellipse, the triangle, and the circle. click one more. I've got another process running in the background, so my computer's a little bit slow. So now I've got those three selected. I can just right-click to the right of the layer names. Eventually this will catch up with me. If I right-click to the right of the layer names, I'll get a pop-up menu, and I can choose Convert to Smart Object. And when I do that, it's going to encapsulate these three layers into one smart object. I can then apply filters, for instance, to that smart object. So let's say I wanted to apply a blur filter to this smart object. I could go to Filter, Blur, and just for fun, let's do a motion blur. And so it's going to kind of spread these out. That's way too much. Let's do something like that. So we can tell it's obviously blurred. I'll click OK. Now, because it's a smart object, as I said, the contents are encapsulated, and because we're applying a filter to a smart object, this is a smart filter. Smart filters come with a mask, so if I wanted to mask the effect of this filter on part of the layer, I could use this layer mask, and anywhere I paint with black or have black on this layer mask, it would hide the effect of this filter. So for instance, if I grab my brush tool and tap D for my default foreground background colors, and X to move black to the background, and currently it's at 10% opacity, I'll just tap a 0. That'll set it to 100% opacity. I'll make the brush a little smaller, and I'm just going to paint black on the mask. I want to make sure the mask is selected. And I'm going to paint over the blue ellipse, and you can see we have masked the effect of this motion blur from affecting that part of the image, but it's still affecting the other parts. So I can again go back in history and just undo that brush stroke if I want to. Let's say we decide we wanted to change something about the arrangement of these. Well, because they're encapsulated in a smart object, I still have access to those three original layers. Where this comes up in astrophotography is you might get to this point and have your background or an image converted to a smart object, and you notice a satellite trail that you didn't edit out. You would just double click on the layer thumbnail that represents that smart object, and when I do that, it opens up a new tab with the contents of that smart object. So let's target the ellipse, and I'm just going to move it over here. And so that's pretty obvious. And all I need to do now is close this tab. I'll click on the X to close it. It'll ask me if I want to save it before closing, and in this case I do, so I'm going to say yes. And what it's going to do in this case is it's going to update the smart object in the original, so we now have the same smart filter applied, but it's being applied to that new version of the smart object because we've rearranged the smart object. Now if I want to change the motion blur, I can double click on the motion blur smart filter. That brings back up the dialog box for the blur, and let's say we want to make the blur larger. So we can make that blur larger, but again it's non-destructive. I can turn that off, turn it back on, use the mask, and if I decide I want to move something else, I can again double click on the smart object, and let's say we want to move the ellipse back, and this time let's move the red circle just so we have something obvious. I'll close the tab, say yes, I want to save it, and it updates the smart object. So now we have the new version of the smart object with the current settings of the motion blur smart filter being applied, and none of this has had any effect on the background. It's all completely non-destructive. I can save this document. It'll save just like this with the settings intact. I can open it, and it will open with the settings intact. One last thing we'll talk about. we've got this levels adjustment, and it affects everything below it. So I'll just quickly reset it back to its default. So right now, it's going to brighten or darken the entire image. There are times when you want to affect just one layer that's immediately below an adjustment layer. And we can do that by creating, not a very good name for it, but it's called a clipping mask. It's not a mask, but what we're doing is clipping this adjustment layer to whatever's below it. And the shortcut icon to do that is right here on the Properties panel of the adjustment layer. If I click on this Create Clipping, it will clip this adjustment to the layer below it. So now any changes in that levels adjustment only affects the layer below it and nothing else. It only affects the layer that it's clipped to, and you can tell it's clipped by this little down arrow that shows up on the layer thumbnail. So there's just a few things about Photoshop layers and smart objects and how they work. Hope you found this useful. If you have any questions, drop those in the comments down below. And as always, I hope you have a great day today and an even better night tonight under a clear, dark sky. Thanks.